show his vision about the stated topic. So I would like to Renuka ma'am to host all the meetings. Okay, so Renuka ma'am, please you can start the meetings with your own way. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for handing me over. So before I start, I with Mohit sir had joined.
Hello.
No, sir. I'm
Ma'am, your
asking you
voice
whether
is
Mohit
not
sir
audible
joined.
actually.
Yes, sir. I can understand. Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, sir. Actually, I want to ask you whether Mohit sir had joined in the meeting.
आदित्य सर, रेणुका मैडम पूछ रही है कि ज्वाइन किए हैं कि नहीं, विमल सर ज्वाइन किए हैं कि नहीं?
हाँ, विमल सर हैज ऑलरेडी ज्वाइन मैम.
Actually, sir, I'm asking whether Mohit sir has joined. Mohit sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mohit sir has also joined.
Yes,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, means nowadays this has become my Takiya Kalam. Am I audible? Am I audible? Good evening to everyone. On behalf of Ramgarh Engineering College, I cordially welcome to our spokesperson, Principal of Mangal Vimal Kumar, Mr. Mohit Chatterjee, sir, Principal of Ramgarh Engineering College, Dr. Shubhangi Roy, Deputy Director, Dr. Sudeepa Chakrabarti, Vice Principal, Dr. Nazmul Islam, TechWip Coordinator, Dr. Aditya Kumar Singh, HODs, faculty members, and dear students. I welcome you in the webinar on mathematics of cyber attack. I'm sorry for the poor net connection. I'm again asking, am I audible to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can proceed with that. Yeah, so today we have organized a webinar on mathematics of cyber attack, crime and defense. The whole humanity is fighting today with the pandemic COVID-19, and again we have got another setback that two of our states, West Bengal and Odisha, has suffered from super cyclone Amphan. It has caused severe damages, and we pray to Almighty God to for the early restoration of our states. And I can say this is our positive attitude and combating gesture, that we haven't stopped our learning attitude. We are organizing different webinars, we are engaging online classes, so that we can be always on our pace to learn. So this is also a webinar so that we can learn the things. We can learn the things. Somebody wants to say something because I'm getting some disturbance voice.
अभिनव सर, सबको म्यूट कर दीजिए, जो नहीं बोल रहे उनको म्यूट कीजिए.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are doing the so.
हाँ, सबको
we are doing the same, sir. We are doing
yes,
this.
yes, सबको
yes.
म्यूट कीजिए.
So I was talking about the positive attitude and the combating gesture which we have adopted, so that we can be in the pace, we can stand together with the world. And today the webinar is dedicated to our endeavor for meeting the challenges challenges of tomorrow. This webinar aims to facilitate our students and engendering sites on mathematics, cyber attack, crime, and defense. If Mohit sir had joined, then So again, I'm asking you whether Mohit sir had joined in this meeting. Abhinav sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Mohit
Hello.
sir joined the meeting because I cannot see
No,
his
no.
name.
Actually, yes, I am.
Hello.
I am
Yes,
also
sir.
not see him. I am also not see him, ma'am.
Yeah, because he was the first person to address the meeting.
Yeah. If sir is
Switching
not,
to Sudipto sir.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I couldn't see him, that's why I
Yes,
was
yes, yes. Not an issue. You carry on.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir, for informing me.
welcome,
Means,
ma'am.
because of some reason, Mohit sir couldn't join the meeting, maybe a poor internet connection and whatever would be the reason, but he couldn't join the meeting. Later on, if he joined, then he would address us. So I would request Dr. Sudipto Chakravarti, who has always persuaded excellence in curriculum of college. He has been always active to lend his helping hand to Ramgarh Engineering College. I extend my thankfulness to for joining this meeting, sir, and I would like you to request to address us about this cyber security and about this webinar. Am I audible to?
I request the host to mute all the participants, please.
Because I'm getting some voice and I'm unable to find that whether I'm audible to everyone and what I'm addressing is
Yes, yes, yes,
very
yes.
sure about from my side.
अभिनव प्लीज अब अभिनव सर प्लीज देखिए आप सबको म्यूट कीजिए.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sudipto sir, because I have already requested him to address the meeting.
Sudipto sir, please.
Abhinav sir.
Yeah.
Abhinav sir, I'm requesting you to unmute Sudipto so that he can address.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning to all of you. Hello.
Good evening.
Good afternoon to all of you. Good evening to all of you. Can you audible now? Yeah, I'm audible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's a very pleasure. This kind of topic is a very important topic nowadays. Cyber security is everywhere is required. For the faculty it is required, for the students it's required, for every human being it is required actually. It's a very important topic, and now today we will be given the lecture like our godfather of this topic. So it will be very much helpful for our college faculty, our students who will be participants today. Already more than 100 participations is there, and this is a very important topic in everywhere, in all over the all over the country, and all over the world, you can say. And for Ramgarh Engineering College is a very lucky, you are very lucky. You are get persons like him. So I'm not wasted so much of time of you, so I'm just given to madam. You carry on, and thanks a lot. Thanks the whole team who are who are doing this kind of things. It's a very important one, a very vital one. So thanks a lot. Madam, over to you. Renuka madam, over to you.
Abhinav has muted me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dipto sir, for addressing us. It's always pleasure to hear you. And now I request our Tech Whip coordinator, who is also the associate professor of mathematics in our college, Dr. Aditya Kumar Singh, to say a few words on this topic. Over to you, sir. Aditya, sir, if I'm audible, then sir, please. Abhinav, sir, please unmute Aditya, sir, so that he can address us.
Yeah. I'm just unmuting. Aditya sir, you can unmute and you can say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Respected Guruji, Dr. Bimal Misra, sir, Vice Chairman, Vice Chairman Mohit, sir, Sudipto, sir, Principal Madam, Dr. Sravani Rai, Madam, Vice Principal, Dr. Najmul Islam, sir, HOD, faculty members, and friends. Good afternoon to all of you. And I'm really thankful to you. You are giving the precious time for the seminar, for the webinar. And the topic of the webinar is mathematics of cyber crime attack and defense. As you know, after the augmentation of cyber attack, society has drastically changed. But nowadays, cyber world facing several challenges in the form of malicious object. These malicious objects are worm, virus, trojanous. To curb the impact of malicious object, sir has developed many mathematical models. Sir will exhibit and give the concept on these mathematical model, which will help us to understand the attacking behavior of mathematical models, attacking behavior of virus, trojanous, and worm, and it will also help us to develop a strong anti-malicious software. In this field, sir has developed more than 100 papers in international journals. The best publication of sir is in Nature, Springer, Elsevier. Yesterday, one more paper has been accepted in Elsevier with impact factor 3.57, and the title of the paper is COVID-19 created chaos across the globe. Thank you. Sir will give you a fantastic lectures. We shall be grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Over to Renika, madam. Renika, madam.
Thank you, sir. Actually, means I cannot unmute myself. That's why I'm taking time. Actually,
Okay.
Abhinav sir has to unmute me. After then only I can say. Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing us. Thank you for throwing light on the topic and shared your insights about this topic. And now this is the time, without getting late, we would I want to give a brief introduction, which already Aditya sir has given, but I also want to add something on of our spokesperson, Dr. Professor Bimal Kumar Mishra. So actually, I'm elated to introduce our spokesperson, who is a very experienced and promising professor, Professor Bimal Kumar Mishra, currently giving his service as a principal of Markham College of Commerce, Hazaribagh. He has also served in BIT Mesra and in BITS Pilani. He is the editor of Understanding Cyber Threats and Attacks. He is the founder editor-in-chief of International Journal of Mathematical Modeling, Simulation and Application. He is associate editor of International Journal of Information Technology and Computer Science. He is guest editor of Computer Virus Theory, Model and Methods. His research fields are biophysics, computer science, cybercrime, cyber defense, mathematical and computational biology, mathematical modeling and simulation, mathematical modeling of complex diseases, mathematics, non-linear dynamic system. We would be delighted. We are honored to have Professor Bimal Kumar Mishra with us. I would like to request, sir, it's my humble request to you, please, take the webinar and take the webinar on your hand and address us, give the lecture so that our students, our faculty members, and all the participants can get benefits. And in this pandemic, when we are fighting with so many things, then this kind of webinar is like our endeavor to fight, and it is our endeavor to develop ourselves and to pave the way to for our growth. So, if I am audible to you, sir, please address us. Please give the lecture on the given topic. Abhinav, sir, please unmute our spokesperson.
Sir, you can unmute yourself and you can speak.
Very good evening to all of you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank the Principal Ramgarh Engineering College, Professor Roy, for giving me the opportunity to discuss this very hot, I can say that very hot topic. Thanks to Dr. Sudipto.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I can just see that Dr. Vishnu Chatterjee is there, indirect student also.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Aditya Singh, Dr. Renuka, who had given a very brief introduction about me. And also I can
I'm sorry, sir. Means I thought that it would be better that you to say about the topic. But we are very we are feeling very gratitude towards you for your valuable time, sir. I'm sorry that if you feel that it's a very brief introduction.
sorry. Dr. Vishnu student, Dr. Shivaji also.
Yes.
Along, in fact, he is from, I hope that he's fine. So many of them are known to me, and it really was I had a desire to have a discussion with the students and faculty members of Ramgarh Engineering College about this very specific area. So without wasting any much time on all these things, this is really a great effort by the principal of Ramgarh Engineering College, that in this particular pandemic, and also when the natural calamity is there of this cyclone, she had managed in organizing these type of webinars. So really a great appreciation to the principal for making this a very sincere effort. And also in these all, this gives a very strong message to all the faculty and the students that whatsoever, in fact, the difficulty be, education is always on the top, and it gives a very active path or a direction to understand that how we can come out of with all these troubles. So I come directly to my topic, that is the mathematics of cyber attack, defense and crime. I've been working in this area for the last 14 years, rather 15 years, right from BITS Pilani, BIT Mesra, and presently right now. So in fact, I start with the word, this word www. So all of us know that it is, I come to the other meaning, that are we just heading the internet towards wild west? That is what I mean to say, that www has some other meaning also, because the way in which the cyber crimes are affecting us. In fact, I am very, I cannot say that we must not be very passive towards it. We have to be very active towards it and try to understand that how we should be able to control, because these days everywhere we have to find out some direction, because we are everywhere towards, we are connected towards the internet. And there is no way, when this pandemic has come into picture, the classes we have, e-classes going on. We have already started in India from 2009 e-commerce business. So the whole world is now electronic. It was that machine was made by man. Now we can say that we are today machine-made man. So we have to understand the basic concept that how we'll be able to defend ourselves from these type of attacks. You will be very surprised to learn that in this very specific zone, in 2019 alone, the United States had a loss, the cyber criminals. In fact, $1,400 billion was the total cost of the cybercrime in 2019 alone in the United States. So a huge amount, see, $1,400 billions by the cyber criminals through ransom. And they had taken all these. And during this pandemic, right, when it started from the month of March in India, right in November, December or November last week, so 2019. So right when we come across all the figures and data, what we observed during these 4 or 5 months, the cybercrime has increased like anything. See, these days what are happening, we have a lot of sites which are coming into picture. And these all sites are related to COVID-19. And which of them is a very perfect site, which are authentic site is a big question. And everywhere, in fact, people are donating huge amount of money in this pandemic. So recently, several news have come and a lot of investigation is going on that the money which is supposed to be transferred to the Prime Minister Care Fund for this COVID-19 is in fact hiked by the cyber criminals through some other type of the website and other type of the links. So we have to be very careful that what type of links should be taken into account. What are the very specific type of the domains we should be picking up so that the crime is going on in a very low zone. You'll be also shocked to learn that in many of the European countries during this pandemic, a huge amount of the money which was supposed to be donated by the people for this type of pandemic, they have been taken away by the cyber criminals by giving false type of description or by different fake type of websites. So how we try to identify these type of websites? See, generally what happens when we speak about the government side, it is a very simple site that is .gov.in. So this in fact and HTTPS will be the beginning. HTTPS : / and then the government site .gov.in. But in fact what the hackers do, they in fact will be using HTTP without the security. HTTPS will not be there. HTTP, and then they will be using the same domain with the extension like .com. For example, HTTPA : / and then they will be taking primeministercarefund.com. And people are in fact, they don't know, they're not aware. And they also don't try to look into the very specific zone that what is being announced. They simply click it and try to transfer this fund. That what it happens, what is happening these days. So we have to be very careful while we go all around these things. Basically what happens when we try to do all these, when I'm speaking this comes under phishing. Phishing is a very typical word. This is in fact, whenever we come across certain type of transaction of business amount is there, when some third party is involved in transferring the amount from person X to the person Y or organization Y, then this phishing comes into the concept. And we have to be beware of all these fraudsters. And how we have recently in 2017 and 18, the largest bank of India, State Bank of India, several amount was being hacked because people, in fact, they generally don't try to use the real domain. They take sbi.com. In fact, it is .sbi.in. So the understanding the domain is very important, number one. Secondly, the amount what we are going to transfer, in fact, there is a third party which in fact is going to transfer your amount. If I'm transferring an amount to a specific organization, a third party is there. There's a third organization which takes into picture the diversion of the fund. And there the hackers are very attentive. They in fact hack. They are totally with you. They are in fact tracing you. that from which domain or from which email continuously this type of transaction is going on. How we should be careful, how in fact we should be trying to get out of all these, how we should save ourselves, we have to take into picture. So these all I will be covering on, and also I will be speaking about the attacking behavior of the different type of the malicious codes. Malicious codes, in fact, this is the malware in which basically people take into account there are only 3 type of malware. And other things, in fact, when we speak about malware, there are only viruses, worms, and trojans. But there are other factors. There are other type of objects which try to attack the network. So this cannot be classified into malware. They have different type of characteristic which resembles either with the viruses or the worms or with the trojans. So basically they can be spyware, they can be ransomware, they can be other things also. But basically these are only the 3 type of the malicious objects which are available. They are the malware, that the viruses, worms, and trojans. But how we will be able to understand how the criminals are getting into picture, that we have to come into account. Basically, there is a computer forensic, just like human forensic, there's computer forensic. And computer forensic, basically in country like India, computer forensic in fact started in 2016, only 4 years back. But countries like US, European countries, they had started the computer forensic concept for the criminals or for the different type of defense mechanism that how we'll be able to identify. So what in fact is called this computer forensic? Just it is an autopsy of a computer or network to uncover digital evidence of crime. When I speak about computer forensic, I'm not speaking about some other forensic. I'm speaking about only computer forensic. And this is very, very relevant in this particular tool. Whenever some crime is there, as far as the computer crimes, when certain frauds are there, phishing is there, and different type of the bank transactions which are being hacked by the customers, by the criminals in fact. So computer forensic comes into picture. So again, I repeat that what is computer forensic? It is nothing but an autopsy of a computer or network to uncover digital evidence of a crime. And evidence must be preserved. That is very critical. You must preserve all the evidence and hold up, because these evidence are very important in the court of law. So India mechanism is the government is improving the forensic thing, because this is the only thing in which the criminals can be we can just identify that from which location this type of crime is happening. Because we have generally here different type of incidences. The incidence is that people in fact are losing, they say that 1 lakh rupee, 5 lakh rupee, 10 lakh rupee is being hacked from an account, or from ATM they are being taken out. So therefore, how will we be able to trace or track all these type of criminal activities? So computer forensic plays a very important role. And therefore I said that this should be preserved, and because they have to be held up in the court of law. And we have to be computer forensic savvy also, because we have to put this into, we have to produce all these things into picture. What type of, these are the days gone when the criminals will be using your floppy disk or zip disk or tapes or digital cameras, memory sticks, printers, CDs, etc. They are the uncovered digital evidence. They cannot be covered under the digital evidence. But the what are the digital evidences? When I speak about crime, then forensic comes into picture, and what digital evidences which are not, hello. So,
you're audible, sir. You're
oh, actually, shared the screen. Okay. The sharing of the screen is there. So I don't fear this. If you want to share it, then you come into, or you can just stop for the time being, and then when I will speak, when I will say that come to that slide, then you please come into that slide. So for the time being, you can skip the sharing option.
Okay. अभी skip कर दी, छोड़ दी.
Yeah. So I was speaking about the digital covering and uncovering of the things of the forensic. The computer scientists or the students who are doing computer engineering, they must try to understand that what evidence are not covered under digital part. They are all the floppy disks. That is the external sharing disk. They cannot be covered under digital evidence. But the digital evidence, in fact, what the criminals try to hide the evidence. Criminals, when they do certain crime, cyber crime, then what they try to hide? They try to delete the files and emails. The first thing what the criminal does, if you have sent an email link to you or any domain link to you, the very first thing after performing the crime, they first of all delete their files completely. They are the permanent deletion of the files and evidence. Secondly, the mails, they try to delete it. They hide their files. They try to encrypt it. The encryption will be very strong because the criminals, the cyber criminals, they are more intelligent than the simple cyber users. So the more smarter the cyber criminals, you will find that tracking their evidence will be very difficult because they encrypt their files in a very strong way. They're very strong passwords also, because the password protection is also very strong. Cracking the password becomes very difficult by the cyber forensic team. Therefore, the password is also very strong, and they embed them into in the unrelated file. For example, .dll, .os, etc. These are the files they try to embed into. They are not the general file like .exe, .com, or like that. They are the simple, they can embed this into the unrelated files that .dll or .os, etc. They don't use your network. They will be hacking the Wi-Fi networks. And they generally use cyber cafe to cover their tracks, because it is very difficult to track from the cyber cafe. If you are opening your Wi-Fi network, then always try to put a password, so that in general public do not use that particular part, because the criminals are tracking you. If you are a continuous user of e-business or e-commerce, or in fact you are a very important person linked with the digital services, linked with the defense organization, linked with the health organization, then the cyber criminals are tracking you. And whenever you are using the Wi-Fi as important person or important organization, they should always protect their Wi-Fi. They must not leave it open, because the criminals are there to hack your Wi-Fi network. So these are the criminals, they are trying to hide the evidence. And the forensic, what the forensic expert does, they try to uncover this evidence. They restore the deleted files. Generally, what happens if the criminals are not so smart, then they can only put a delete mark, which is not temporarily deleted. And therefore, the cyber forensic team, they can restore all these deleted files and mails. Because even if you delete an email, they go into the trash. And if the cyber criminals are not so smart, then they don't move into the trash and try to delete it there. So they leave some evidence there in the trash if they don't permanently remove it from the trash. So these tie to the forensic team. They try to uncover the evidence either from the deleted files or from the trash things. They also try to find the hidden file. They try to decrypt it. They have the different type, because data pollution. When we speak about cyber security, then data security plays a very important role. Network security plays an important role. And therefore, the computer engineers or the software engineers, they must have a very strong hold. If they try to make their career into cybercrime, then they have to be expert into the database management system, data security, data analysis, and also they have to make a very strong thing into network security. So cyber, if you go to a cyber forensic team, in which, we have only one university in Jharkhand, that is your cyber defense university is there, in which, these type of courses are there. So network administrator, the data security people, they try to find out this type of hidden files. They try to decrypt this particular thing. And if the password are not so strong, complex password is not there, then they try to use the search technique to find out the possible password what the cyber criminals have put up. So encryption plays a very critical role for the cyber forensic team. And also they track them down through the digital try, that is your IP address, in fact, IP address to the ISP to the offender, they try to find out. So generally the criminals, when they go to the cyber cafe, so the cyber cafe people are trapped because the IP address is available there. They never use their own laptop, they never use their own systems because their IP address will be easily detected. So these type of, the cyber criminals try to cover these type thing, and the cyber forensic experts, they try to uncover these type of things. So this is the criminal activity what they perform. I give one a very example, a very live example, what I was doing an experiment on that. That was in the year 2016 in Ranchi. What in fact a bigger cyber fraud happened. That cyber fraud in fact gave the concept in India that for the first Indian crime using the cyber clone was there. Clone concept was first used by the criminal in 2016. What happened? Generally in Ranchi in 2016, what the cyber criminals did, they in fact in near all the petrol stations, they made a particular hub that whosoever is coming to get their car filled up by this fuel, they give an offer that if you just purchase a car polish, then they will be offering this car polish at a very nominal cost, and people were quite attracted because the cost was far less than the market cost. So they gave it in a very, they said that it is a business going on across all the petrol fuel station. They had put this type of hubs, and they said that you take this rubbing, washing type of car washing equipment, and it was in a very nominal cost. But the method of payment was very typical. They said that we don't want cash. Only you used to do is only you have to pay it through credit card, debit card, or whatsoever it is. So people used to use their ATM card, debit card, or the credit card for paying it through the POS machine, POS machine. So they had taken it, nothing happened. It was in the month of March, one full month across the city, these type of hubs were placed. Surprisingly, after 4 or 5 months, a huge amount of money from several people who had purchased this type of car washing waxing machine or something like that. So huge amount of money was being automatically deducted from that account. They didn't understand. And this event happened after 4 or 5 months of the purchase of that type of thing. So people didn't know that what happened. So literally it became chaos in the environment, because several people daily used to complain that this particular amount has been debited. Bank was in trouble. Then an investigating agency was put that what happened, and we were working on that particular domain. So what happened, we were not able to trace out that how this particular crime happened. Now, from Bangalore, there were a lot of transactions happened from people who purchased that type of machine from Ranchi. So we contacted those persons and asked that what happened exactly. They told that we had purchased this type of machine, purchased this type of wax pole, something like, this is not the brand, but some different brand name was there. That was the car polishing type of thing. We had purchased it, and several people had got their amount debited from Bangalore. And we asked the history also that, did you ever visit Bangalore? So they said that no, we never visited Bangalore. So what happened? Now the team was in a very difficult scenario because from Bangalore the ATMs it was debited. They had the credit card, debit card with them. It was not lost. Then the thing what came into concept was they had cloned the ATM card or they had cloned the credit card. So this cloning business started in March 2016 in Ranchi, where a huge amount of money was being transacted. And generally, after an investigation of more than 7 or 8 months, from different metropolitan cities, we were able to identify that these amounts were being debited. And then finally, we came across a very small particular town from a very remote state, on a remote district of a remote state. We cannot say a remote state, but in fact, a remote place of a specific state where people, in fact, was doing this type of business. They cloned the entire thing. They had put the debit card into the POS machine, and the image of that particular debit card was well taken into the POS machine, and the fingers what they had put in the password, the e-print was being taken into account, and finally the machine, the particular debit card was cloned. They had the password, the duplicate, or we can say the cloned ATM card was being developed, and this type of business was going on. So this type of the first cloning crime happened in India in Ranchi in 2016. So what everywhere in the area of the digital world, whenever we go to some other place or do some other business, we have to use our debit card, credit card, and what type of preventive measures we should take into account so that we must not be able to be trapped by these type of cyber criminals. So what the thing is that I will be speaking on the defense mechanism in the later part, but the very simple thing is that we never, or rarely try to change the password. Password, as soon as you do 2 or 3 business transactions, you should immediately change the password of your credit card or debit card. That is compulsory. If you don't do, or if you are continuously using e-business or continuously using transactions, then you are, the trackers, in fact, the cyber criminals are tracking you, and maybe they are able to trap you that the password is not changed. They can easily detect the transaction, and obviously will be in great loss. I'm not speaking about the tele criminals. They used to call you that this type of amount has come into your particular branch. You try to give me, because these are all old-fashioned cyber crimes. I will be not speaking on that. But this cloning business, in fact, is very, very alarming. And now this type of cloning business is not in the POS machine also, but they are also in the ATM machine. In the ATM machine, we generally go put our debit card, and then only we simply type the password, get the amount, take the amount, and go back. That is finished our business. But here, what we are doing, a particular mistake. We never check that. The first thing is that from the particular box from where the amount is going to be disbursed, we never see that whether it is blank there or some piece of paper is there. Secondly, we never see that in the particular area keypad zone, whether external keypad is being put or not. Because these are the things where the cloning business is propagating like anything. So we have to be very careful while we are doing this type of things. So basically when the criminals are putting these type of things, and the second thing that has come into picture are the spams. The spams, many of the mails of different domains, they have tried to filter many of the spams. But the criminals are very clever, as I told you. They are more clever than what we are. So they put into picture different type of activities. Because these links, what they are trying to send, because when we speak about COVID-19, these days, pandemic, what the criminals are doing, they are basically targeting the countries which are most affected by COVID. They are sneaking into the two part. First part, they are sneaking into the business organization means that the financial organization where large amount is being transferred from either the international bank or from the country which is going to support that particular country. They are always trying to trap it. They're always observing this type of transactions. Secondly, they are sneaking into the scientific health organization where the research is going on, and they try to find out that what type of research is going on, what type of vaccine type of information is going on, and so that they can hack it and try to sell it out into some other country. Recently, I will not name a particular country, but recently, many of the papers, many of the authentic sites, they have identified that a specific country, almost 60% of the people, the hackers, the cyber criminals of that country are tracing the financial sector of that particular country, which is most affected by the pandemic, and also the health organizations of that specific country, which are trying to do research in that specific pandemic. So the criminals are now very clever. They will not send you any type of attachment. They are not trying to say you that open this attachment. They will be simply sending you a link that the specific prime minister or the president of the country or a relief fund, you have to provide it through this link. And that link will be very similar to the government link. And here where the crime takes place. Once you click it, you never see that what domain it is. The computer engineers, the software engineers, they basically are people who are quite aware or literate, they try to see the domain. But in general, we don't see. There is only an appeal coming from the government that we have sent a link, click it, and then donate the money. And the criminals are sending the temporary domain or some type of similar domain to your move. And that is what the mails are also, the mail domains are not able to identify these type of spams. And these spams are very dangerous. They are, in fact, they are hostile. You are basically paying for the spam, not the spammers, because the spammers are very, they're very clever. Because the email costs are being paid by the email recipients. Therefore, I said you that you are paying for the spam, not the spammers. And the spams are very dangerous. Never click on the opt-out link, never at all. May take you to hostile, because when you click it, that specific opt-out link, they're going to take you to the hostile website. And and when you're just clicking it, there's a .exe, and in fact, you are hanged. So you have to be very, very cautious at that particular specific time. And what you should do it, you try to filter it out, the spams, by identifying that these are not the government organization, and this is not the site what I'm supposed to visit it. Because you 1,000 times or 100 times, you must first of all be very much clear that if you're donating an amount of money, first of all, identify the government sites or the organization through which you're doing it. Now, there are basic difference between viruses, worms, and Trojan horse. Now, viruses, and I will be speaking on virus and worms and worms very specifically, because worms are most dangerous. These are the days of wireless sensor network. And today we are speaking about wireless nanosensor network. And the malicious objects of these wireless nanosensor network, they take into picture worms. And there are only two worms which do not need any type of platform, any type of support. They can freely be, they can move in the air. They, in fact, these two worms are very, very dangerous. And I will be speaking on these two worms only. And these two worms, I will also name them. These two worms, no need of any type of parasitic behavior. They only need a signal where they can perform their task. If there is a weak signal, they can also make certain other media to make their particular attack available in the host or the destination what they require. So these worms are very dangerous, and they in fact find out the computer network to find the security holes to get into our computer. And basically, hackers are everywhere. They steal your data, they delete your data for fun, they turn your computer into zombies, you know. So, because when the zombies are there, they will provoke you to perform certain crimes. They will take down to you some different networks. Your cascading will be there. You open one, then several other network will be open, and the pictures will be coming, and you will not be able to delete all those pictures. So cascading will be there. From one network, they will move to the other network, so that you're totally confused that what was my primary network. And also, you can harass them also. So also we have, when we speak about cyber crimes, then we have ethical hackers also. The computer engineers or the people who are interested in computer engineering or software engineering, they in fact, they move into the ethical hackers, because the ethical hackers try to help break into the networks and also try to prevent the crimes. They can also crack the password for ethical purposes, not for the unethical purposes. So what are we up against? What we have to do? We are, first of all, in country like India, where these days technology has taken a good shape, but not up to that mark what the developed countries have. And also, what is happening? We are having vulnerable software available with us. We are, because thanks to TechCube like organization which are funding like anything to have a licensed software available. But that licensed software is not available everywhere. If you go to the grassroots level or many of the medium industries or the, I'm just ignoring the industry which are very low in picture, up to the middle level industries or up to the organization which are not capable of purchasing these type of licensed version of software. In country like a developing country, they are still using this type of vulnerable software. Vulnerable software means to say that the licensed version they do not have. And they simply use this Google or any search engine to find out that what type of software are free available. And they don't, and they are not aware that what type of crime, what type of criminal activities they will be facing after performing this type of software into the system. So we have to be very careful. The licensed software, in fact, are very, very important for the criminal, because the criminals cannot enter into that because it is always updated. Secondly, what is happening that the person who are performing the crime, they are in fact, they try to misinform us, they try to misguide us, and also they try to make us malicious. Because when you try to download a software from any search engine, so you generally see that how much star it has, 3.5, 4, 4.5, it is secure. But many of the antivirus software, they are not able to identify, because they are not able to identify the specific type of the malicious codes which are embedded in that particular the unlicensed software. And when we have installed it, the executable command, when we have performed it, they entirely change the settings. They try to enter into the command file. They try to enter into your system hardware and try to the maximum space of the memory is being occupied by that type of malicious code. And in fact, they try to hang your system. Your system now starts running slowly. And then a particular period of time, it gets hanged down, or always you have to shut down. So these are some of the activities what in fact try to make us available that cyber attack is there or the viruses has come into picture. So we have to understand the behavior. I'm coming to the attacking behavior, and then I will try to understand that how mathematics has come into picture. Because when we speak about mathematics and we speak about modeling of anything is not very simple. You have to understand first of all, the real physical world scenario. That this is the real world scenario, and this is the particular problem, and what in fact is the objective of that particular problem. We try to understand that. And to attain that objective, what type of particular parameters or the conditions are there. And these conditions and parameters are to be identified. So when we speak about the mathematics of cyber attack, then we try to understand that what is the attacking behavior of viruses, what is the attacking behavior of worms, because they are entirely different. The attacking behavior is different. For layman, the viruses and worms are doing the same thing. They are hacking your system, they are stealing your information, they are sending your important information from one source to another destination. So for them, it is not, they don't make a difference. But when we speak about viruses and worms, we try to understand that what type of behavior they have, how they're affecting the computer network, what type of, how the, from one system to the another system, how they are communicating, what is the rate of transmission of the signal from one system to the other system. So these all type of attacking behavior has to be studied for developing a mathematical model. You cannot simply write some equation and try to solve that this is what we have got. First of all, you have to understand the physical scenario of it. You have to understand that what is the attacking behavior, what is the transmitting behavior. So when we speak, I will be just, after a few minutes, I will be speaking on the mathematical aspect. But before that, we try to understand that what in fact is the wireless network, because from wireless network, we'll be trying to develop the mathematical model. Because mobility has come into picture. Mobile network is not in a simple way. We are carrying your mobile, and mobile is being from one place to another place. The network is changing, and here the crime takes place. Because what is happening? First of all, we try to understand that what is Wi-Fi hijacking. People try to hijack the Wi-Fi, because 60 to 70% of the wireless network are wide open, because anybody can enter into that Wi-Fi network. You can see people just sitting down the wireless tower and chatting, because it is free. If you go to railway station, there's a free wireless zone. And here the crime takes into picture, because the wireless Wi-Fi network is totally free. There's no trace of it. So 60 to 70% are wide open. And these Wi-Fi networks are totally unprotected. You don't just sit near the tower, you get it, Wi-Fi network, you are happy that I am getting all the type of facility here, but you are being trapped, you are on the track of the criminals, because this type of information, what you are going to send, if you are a very known person, or you are from an organization like health organization, or from the defense organization, or from information technology sector, then, or from the financial sector, then you are in the trap, you are on the track of the cyber criminal. You must not ever use this unprotected type of Wi-Fi network available, what is going on. And what they say that Wi-Fi is very easily available, and the data what we are using, why we should pay, it is totally boring, but criminals look for wireless network, and they in fact try to commit their crimes there. And what the authorities will be doing, they will be knocking your door, because your network from your, if you didn't lock your password, then they will be knocking your step and saying that you have done this type of crime. So I will be coming, what in fact in a country like India, why we are not so much bothered about the database of our students or the database of our population, because we say that what the people will do with the data, and this is where we are doing a mistake. Of the insurance sector in a country like US, you cannot share the personal information or the personal data of any person without his permission. But these days in a country like India, for the last 2 years, there's always a question that will my information be shared? If it is so, then I'm not going to share. This has come to India for the last 2 years. And people generally ask that whether my information will be shared or not. But in fact, the database plays an important role. And telemedicine, these days we are speaking about wireless nanosensor network. I will be asking the moderator to please share the file, the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, please come down to slide number you please come to slide somewhere. You please come to slide number 34. Please come to slide number 34. Please make it here. So this is what I'm speaking about, the wireless nano sensor network as a medicinal approach in human body, and how are informed, because the day today, in fact, we are living in the era where medical treatment needs a lot of attention. And in but in the pandemic, I'm not speaking in the sense of pandemic, because in a country like US and Italy, which were very strong in the health sector, are now facing severe crisis, the health crisis. But in fact, as a overall, if you see, then country like US or Italy, we are in general trying to contact them, connect them. So in human body, how we are trying to connect our information from one place to another. If we are in a remote place like Ramgarh, and we are trying to send the whole body physiology aspect to the people, to the doctor in AIMS. So you can see that in brains, we have different square pictures. These squares are nothing but they are the nano nodes. The nodes, the nano nodes are these. This is in the brain cerebral area. This is in the chest area. This is in fact in the abdomen area. So different type of the human physiology when we're speaking. So these nodes are put into our human body. And then in this picture, you will see here that there's a marker here, that is the nano router is here. All the nodes are being connected to the nano routers, and the nano routers in fact are linked here. So they are linked here. So in the different part of the body, they are the cluster of the nano nodes. These are the cluster of the nano nodes near the cerebral area, near the heart zone, near the abdomen zone, where all of them, there are the different domains, there have the nano routers. And these all nano routers, in fact, they're connected with the nano link. And we have here a nano macro interface in our human body, a nano micro interface in our human body, because we have to connect with the people, with the outer side people, where we are transforming our information. The whole signal has to be transformed to a specialist somewhere in AIMS from Ramgarh. So we have a nano micro interface, and this nano micro interface, in fact, there is a gateway, and this gateway is going to transmit the information through your internet connectivity to some other source, to the healthcare provider. So you can see that now the treatment is not so difficult. If you are facing certain acute type of disease in which immediate attention is required, an expert is not available in your remote zone. So this nano wireless sensor network helps you to try to understand that how our information, in fact, can be transmitted from a remote source to a very developed destination. So these nano networks, these are the networks. Now, what is happening? If you're a very important person, if you're a very, very important person, and if the cyber criminals are in fact knowing that you are in regular medical treatment and your information is being transmitted from your body to some other specialized zone, then the signals which are being transmitted from the human body to that specific hospital, that may be distorted or that may be hacked. So how this hacking takes place, I will be explaining you in the next part. Next slide, please. So I just request you to just stop this presentation, because I only have to see the picture and then I will speak it out. No issue. So hello, hello.
Sir, audible. You are audible, sir.
Yeah, audible. I'm not able to get the video link now. Are you people? Are you able to see me properly? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now it is okay. So I was just giving you a very that how the nano sensors are important for us. how we are able to transmit our information, and the criminals, how they are going to hack it. So we are living in the era of IoT, that is the Internet of Things. Everywhere you can find IoT. Maybe a very simple way, if you're cooking also, you are, hello? If you are cooking also, then also you're using IoT. If you're watching your television, if you are driving your car, or even if you are performing your daily activities, everywhere you can see that IoT is playing an important role. And the nano sensor tags are just a part of our life. You know, everywhere there's a barcode. Even if you go to malls without these tags, you cannot, if the tag is there, you cannot just enter or exit from the system. So these tags, in fact, they are the nano barcodes and the sensors. And these sensors, what their sensors are? They are the silicon enhanced nanoparticles or surface enhanced Raman scattering. These the tags are embedded into the different consumer products, and they can be scanned from considerable distance. So these tags, and even RFID, you might be having RFID library also. So this radio frequency ID tags are improved with nanoscale components, and they try to identify the objects. So these nano sensor has now become a part of our life. Whether you are playing, you are wearing your, because these days cars, if you don't use your seat belts, you are getting, you know, beep sound. So what these beep sounds are? They are nothing, but they are reminding you to wear the seat belts. They are the nano sensor network. They are the nano sensor, which in fact they are alarming you. And also the gateway, in fact, where are the threat landscape? What landscape are very vulnerable, and how we'll be able to identify? So 2000, because the mega threat in the world of cyber world, I'm speaking about the mega threat in the world of cyber, in the cyber world, it happened in the year 2013, and the 2013, in fact, was seen as the year of mega threat, mega breach. And 2014, it was in fact what was in the landline, because everybody was in fact very much vulnerable towards all this. You might be remembering that vulnerable such as heartbleed, shell shock, poodle, and many of important in 2000 started attacking. In 2013, shell shock was there. Poodle was there in last of 2013 and start of 2014. And these, in fact, was the era in the cyber world, which was a mega threat. And billion of computers across the globe, or the system, they were totally destroyed, and security breach was there. And very specifically, country like US was trouble. So what happened to this? How the vulnerability was there, what attack happened, and how we are able to identify all these type of things. So as I told you in the beginning, that attackers are moving faster, defenses are not. They are moving very faster than us. And defense is not moving faster than the attackers. Because always the question is there that the antivirus software which is being developed, do the cyber criminals, they in fact try to send these type of loopholes, so that people, in fact, these antivirus software, they try to, first of all, the crimes are done, and then this type of software developed. No, it is not like that. The antivirus software, based on the research and the loophole only, they are going to make their antivirus software very, very strong. So there is no connectivity in different platforms. The question was there that whether there's a connectivity between the criminals and the antivirus software developers. It is not so. So vulnerability is, what is vulnerability? Because when we are speaking about attacks, crime, defense, then the word vulnerability appears. What is vulnerability? So vulnerability is nothing, but it is a flaw of weakness, a flaw or weakness in what? In the design, in the implementation, or in the operation, or in the management of a system. that could not be exploited to violate the system security policy. So that is vulnerable. It is nothing, but it is our weakness. It is the flaw. It is the flaw in the design. It is the flaw in the implementation part. It is the flaw in the operation part. It is the weakness in the management part, which could not be exploited, and they are able to sneak the security policy. So we have to make, so vulnerables are in the form of bugs, and they are present in the operating systems. They may be present in your devices. They may be present in the drives, and they may be present in the shared libraries, because recently in Python, because when we speak about the Python language, so in the library of the Python, what happens, these bugs entered and made a very critical type of situation happen. However, it was detected on and tried to solve it. So these type of bugs, they in fact, they can be present in the operating system or the devices or the drives or in the shared libraries or in the application program or any of the system component. So we have to be very careful. So what in fact, what we want? Zero-day vulnerability. So zero-day vulnerability, they are the maximum challenges. The zero-day vulnerability are the biggest challenge, I can say, to both the antivirus industry as well as the malicious exploit warriors. Because as soon as they are launched, they create such a big disaster that when the recovery part starts or the defense mechanism start, everything is lost. So if you see the situation of this pandemic, what happened? The 0 day, it started, and when people try to understand that it will try to affect us in the coming 14 days, people, unless these things comes into the symptoms come into us, we are able to detect ourselves, everything is lost. A huge population is lost. The same thing is in the cyber world. So as soon as it has been launched across the globe, there's a 0 day vulnerable. And the maximum is the biggest challenge to antivirus industries. And when the vendor of the product or the antivirus industry, they are able to provide the necessary patches for these type of bugs, they are made available for the customer. Till then, the disaster had happened. So, so I want to show something before I start the mathematical part. I will take 4 or 5 minutes more before starting the mathematics part. I will ask Mr. Professor to just come to the slide portion, and please come to the slide number 45. Please come to slide number 45. Yeah. So, 2014, I was speaking. This was the year of mega year, you know. And this year, in fact, the whole cyber world was in trouble. Now we have two different type of the vulnerables. It was Heartbleed. It was it had come in April 7, 2014, and the another was Shell Shock. It had come in September 24, 2014. Now you see the red and the blue line. If you see the red line, in April 7, 2014, you just see the graph. 0 day, on the very first day, 33,000 systems. At the 0th time, it had crashed. Sorry. 33,000 systems in 0 day was immediately crashed on April 7, 2014. And you can see that then suddenly decreased to 7,000, suddenly. And then later on, it went on decreasing. And finally, it didn't make any disaster. So what happened? See, the criminals are very clever. So people try to understand that what happened to us, again, will it happen or not? We have to be very careful. People try to develop the antivirus. The organization, they started developing the patches, and they try to sell it also, because the large antivirus software in 2014, after April, it was in boom like anything. And they try to promote it also, that our software is very, very attentive towards heartbleed. So they had a very big business, and therefore the question arises that whether the criminals in fact help this organization to make it. No, it is not like that. But this is the cleverest type of business what the criminals did. After doing the crime, they suddenly slept. They didn't do anything. And then in the month of September, after almost 5 months, they launched another type of attacking behavior. And this was in the blue, if you see, that was a shell shock. Shell shock, if you see, after 5 months, the behavior was changed entirely. There was no attack in between. Also, the attack was very low, very few. But shell shock after 5 months with different attacking behavior, immediately around 31,000 system was crashed. And lot of breaches was there. Financial organization was in great trouble. And they had basically, it was worm that, and they had destroyed the entire financial sector, very specifically the European country and the US. And they suddenly decreased, but in fact, they again rose up and they attacked again in the month of October, and they crossed around 35,000. And then again, they came back. They didn't again attack much, but in fact, the destruction was there. Because what they did, people thought that like heartbleed only, it was a one-day disaster, nothing will happen, we must not bother about, people were careless. So once 31,000 was there, they thought that, okay, nothing is going to happen, we are not to be so much panic, but we try to develop the patch. But only after 15 days, they again attacked 35,000. So see the nature is entirely different. It was the virus attack in 2014, heartbleed, only 1 0-day attack. But shell shock attack, it made a continuous attack. The behavior was changed. And their mathematics clear. This is totally a dynamical system, not a static system. The behavior is changing day by day. Next slide, please. So whether month is playing certain role or not, that we have to see it. Generally, people say that monthly trend is there. If you see that the breaches, the different type of trend, what is happening. So the trends are very, very similar. So vulnerables, if they attack in a very, very strong manner. If you see in the year 2003, there is around 100 number of vulnerables was there. 800 number of vulnerables is there. But in the year 2005, 1200 vulnerables was there. So the peak is there. So the trend was almost in the same pattern. But suddenly, and the continuous strike was there. 2000, 2005, the maximum attack. 2005, it was 1200. But later on, it was going on. And suddenly, if you see, around in the year 2012, there was a sudden rise. But there's a certain trend also. The trend is there. But in 2014, if you see, 13 and 14, this rise, this peak of around 1300 number of vulnerables was there. So the peak you see was almost the trend was having a very definite trend. So January 97 to December 2014, the month-wise we tried to find out the trend nature, that what was the trend, and almost the trend was like it is moving in a very specific zone. Next slide, please. So what happens? We have to understand that these vulnerables, where they attack. Whether they come through the email attachment, through the links, or through the browsers, or through what happens. What are the different type of the operating system they can attack? The browser vulnerable we try to see in 2011 and 14. If you see in 2012, if you see the green part, this green part is your Google Chrome. And the orange part is your Apple Safari. So 891 type of the browser vulnerables were identified in 2012. And Mozilla was also there, but maximum was in fact was coming through this Google and Apple Safari. So 2012 had this type of browser vulnerables. But when we come to 2014, if you see in 2012, Microsoft Internet Explorer was released. It is the red one. Red one is Microsoft Internet Explorer. It is released in 2012. But when you come to the year 2014, the browser vulnerables was maximum in this Microsoft Internet Explorer. So the trend is changing. Once it was in Apple Safari and Google Chrome. Later on, Apple Safari made it a very strong defense mechanism. Google tried to improve, but Microsoft was not so much attentive. And the attackers were so fast that they attacked maximum vulnerables was there in Microsoft Internet Explorer. This is because when you develop a mathematical model, you have to understand the attacking behavior and the traits. Unless you understand the real physical world, you cannot develop a mathematics of it. Next, please. Next slide, please. So please skip it. Please skip it. Please skip it. Please skip it. So what in fact is that if you come to the smartphones, so you will be very surprised. I will be speaking about the mobile phone now, mobile devices now, the Internet of Things. These mobile devices, if you see, then in 2014, 6.3 millions of the apps were analyzed. This blue line, 6.3 million applications were analyzed. Out of these, and in 2013, 6.1, and 2012, 2.7 million applications were analyzed. After the analysis, what obtained? When this application was there, then out of these 6.3 millions of 2014 applications, what we have analyzed, 1 million application was containing malicious software. See the number, and this number is alarming. Out of 6 million of the applications being analyzed in 2014, 1 million application was malicious software. And that was a great alarming, and therefore year 2014 was a great challenge to the cyber world. However, 6 years has passed, but the figure still remains same. And out of these, not only we have stopped at this 1 million applications was software, but out of these 6.3, 1 million was malicious software, 2.3 million of the applications were grayware, and 1.3 million application was further classified as malware. So out of 6.3, if you see, then 4.6 million software out of 6.3 million software were malicious in nature. Out of 6.3 million software in 2014, 4.6 million software were malicious in nature. I use 3 different words. One is malware, another is grayware, and the third one is malware. We try to understand the concept of malware, grayware, and malware. So before we try to understand it, I am just trying, first of all, we try to understand that what is malware? What in fact is malware? What is grayware? So malware is basically nothing, but it is a program and files which creates harm. They are creating certain harms, and malware includes computer viruses, worms, Trojan horse. They are malwares. But when we speak about graywares, so graywares, they do not contain viruses, and they do not, but they are malicious in nature. They do not contain any virus, but they have malicious nature with them. They can annoy you. they can harm you. They, for example, hacking tools, access softwares, spyware, advertisement software, or joke programs. Certain jokes are available also. They are also annoying you. They are termed as greyware. And malware was, as the name suggests, they are in fact, they are placing your advertisement in your mobile device photos. They are totally annoying your nature. They can even try to replace your ringtone. They are even trying to replace your advertisement. They are malware. They are totally trying to confuse you. Therefore, this term malware has come into picture. So, you will be also surprised that 84% of the mobile vulnerables in the year 2014, they were from the Apple operating system. Now Apple is more protected, but the year 2014, the organization which was in great threat was Apple, the Microsoft, and these two organizations was completely lost. 84% of the mobiles vulnerable of this related was Apple in 2014. And as compared to the Android only 11% was there, and 4% was BlackBerry. So Internet of Things was in fact very typical type of thing. I try to summarize, I try to give you a brief outline that what is crime, how it is being attacked, what type of behavior is there, what is the trend. Now I come to the mathematics part. Now, when we speak about the network attack, what is happening? Basically, when we speak about the thing of human technology space, now there are two different type of things. One is human, another is technology. So there is a hybrid system. This hybrid system is human technology space. So when we speak about human technology space, then mobility comes into picture, trust comes into picture, belief, cooperation, collective behavior, and gossiping, mobilization, greedy behavior, and malicious behavior. These are all hybrid human technologies. Because due to the machine part and due to the human part, person are moving from one network to the another network, therefore mobility comes into picture. Humans are there, so therefore there must be a trust between transferring your data from one person to the another, from one machine to the another. Therefore trust and belief are the two important parameters for developing a mathematical model. Several mathematical models are developed on trust and belief of cyber attacks. Then there is a cooperation between human and machine. There is also cooperation between human to human, where the transfer of the data is taking place through this machine. There's a collective behavior between the machine and the human, between the human and the human, between the machine and the machine. There's also gossiping picture, because human nature is gossiping. There's a greedy behavior also. So we try to understand this all. So I just request the moderator to please come down to slide number 63. 63. I request Professor to please come down to slide number 63. Yeah. So I come to epidemiology. First of all, we try to understand that what is, because pandemic is there, everybody is knowing. There's another word, epidemic. Both are related to disease, infectious disease, where a big population in a very short span of time is being affected by it. That is, and if it is in a specific geographical location, it is epidemic in nature. But when it comes across the globe, then it is pandemic in nature. Just what we are facing, that is your COVID-19. So all the mathematical models, what we have developed is basically based on epidemics, epidemiology. Because what happens in a very, as I told you, in 2014, heartbeat was there, shell shock was there. In zero time, as soon as they launched it, 34,000 of the computers, they crashed across the globe. So what happened? In fact, in a very short span of time, a disease that had spread in the computer world they had been affected by it, and it simply collapsed. That is what epidemics is. So if you see in the picture, there are three words, S-I-R. I is the infectious part, S is the susceptible part, R is the recovered part. What we try to do, we try to select a target population. If you have a lab inside, it is a computer network in which there are 50 or 60 computers being attached to it. And these 60 computers makes a target population. All of them are connected to each other. All these 60 computers are being connected to the main server, and thus the computer network is developed. So this all is considered as a target population. And then we try to understand, they're all susceptible towards the attack because they are all communicated. They're all communicating to each other. They're all connected to each other. Therefore, every computer is being susceptible towards the attack of this particular network. And then what we try to do, we select a target population, we try to understand the basic property of epidemiology. They are susceptible, they are infected, or whether they are being recovered after running the antivirus software. And this, in fact, when we try to understand this epidemics, we come to the abstraction of the groups, not individual. How many systems are crashed in a particular network? Not to a specific computer, to the group, because epidemic, in fact, or pandemic is affecting a particular group. However, the individuals are there, but the group is being affected. Therefore, abstraction to groups and not to individuals. So next slide, please. So what is epidemiological study? We describe the distribution of infection, what type of infection is there, whether it is being attacked by virus, whether it is being attacked by the worms, or it is by the Trojan horses. Then we try to identify the determinants, that what in fact are the basic parameters, what are the in fact critical variables which are playing a critical role in this particular epidemic. Then we try to develop based on this particular type of behavior or the characteristic or the parameters, we try to develop the theory for it. Because if this type of behavior is there, then this type of attack may be possible. And then we try to implement the strategy for detection, control, and then the prevention of spread of infection, etc. So this is all the basic function of any mathematical model when we try to understand the epidemics part. We describe the distribution of infection, identify the various parameters or the variable, develop the theories based on their behavior of these parameters, and then we try to implement and evaluate the strategies for this. Next. So you might have heard in this news in this pandemic about the reproduction number. Reproduction number is a very simple term, and it is generally used in infectious disease or in epidemics, that if a particular person is being infected, then to how many persons they can infect that specific disease, and in how many time, in how many days, or in what interval of a time an infected person can infect a group of persons at a specific zone. So this is how we try to understand the reproduction number. And in India, in pandemic, when we speak, in these days, we are having a reproduction number of only 1.8. But in countries like US and Italy, it has come around 2.9, 2.8, something like that. So still we are safe. We are not in stage 3. Community transmission is at a lower stage. So this is where the reproduction number is there. If you see this particular picture, then what happens if the first picture on the left side, on the left top, if you see, it is I is there, the infectious one. These I are all the infectious computers. They are attacked by the viruses, worms, and Trojans. These S is the susceptible one, because every computers are being connected to each other. And if this computer is communicating with the another node, then this infected computer, the red one, can infect the S1 that is susceptible. Or if you understand from the COVID-19 perspective, these I, if they are infected, and if this S are the group or the individual, and if they immediately come into contact with these one, then these S will automatically become infected. But in COVID, we do not have R. R is the recovered from the disease. This can be simply if we take epidemic diseases like tuberculosis, HIV, bird flu, avian influenza, that is an example of bird flu, then this recovery may be possible. And also in computer viruses, if a system is being attacked by viruses or worm, then these infected computers, antivirus software are run, and a proportion of these get recovered. And if you see the screen on the left bottom, there is a sentence written, there is a position written, R naught is less than tau naught. That is, if the reproduction number is less than some specific quantity, this tau naught is 1. This tau naught is 1 in general. If the reproduction number is less than 1, then there is no epidemic. And if you see the antivirus, running the antivirus software, all the infected computers get recovered. All of them are recovered. There is no infection here. In the picture, if you see, just above R naught, less than tau naught, in the lower part of the diagram of the left portion, there is no infectious node. That means the epidemic has stopped. It is not an epidemic. Vaccination is there, and we are able to recover. But if you see the right portion, the epidemic disease is there. We start from the top of the right. We see the same scenario, what it was there in the left top. And here we see the infection is there, susceptible is there, some recovered stages are there. Antivirus software is run, the recovered system is there, the susceptible computers are there. These are the infectious. But if R naught is greater than tau naught is 1. If R naught is greater than 1, reproduction number is more than 1. That means epidemic is there, the disease is there, and you see the infection exists here. In the picture, in the flow diagram, if you see just above R naught greater than tau naught, in the picture you see there exists red one, I is there. That means the infection group is already available. That means epidemic disease is there. The infection is not recovered. However, we can see larger number of recoveries. After running the antivirus software, many of the system gets recovered, but many of them are still infected. Why? Because the patches are not there. The latest antivirus software version is not available. They are not able to cure all of those type of viruses there. So they are still infected in nature. New type of patches must come into existence. Then they only can be recovered. This is a case where epidemic disease is there, where infection is at larger stage. It is a pandemic situation if it is a global one. So the difference between the right and the left bottom is that the left bottom speaks about the disease when it is less than 1. It is not epidemic, maximum recovery. But if you see the right one, it is epidemic one, recovery is not more, patches are new patches are not there, antivirus software has to struggle, and we have to get new antivirus software, updated antivirus software to recover all these I1s. Next slide. Yeah, please, next slide. So we are coming to the modeling process. I will not take Mr. Professor, how much time can you give to me more? How much time is available?
You can continue, sir. No issue, sir.
Okay.
It's a very, very valuable, sir.
So I will just request you, so you please come to slide number 76. Slide number 75, sorry, slide number 75. Slide number 75, please. Yeah. So we have different type of epidemic models with us. We have here, you see there are 3 letters, 3 words, SIR, SIS, SCIR, etc. This S means susceptible, I means infectious, R means recovery. The first letter SIR, susceptible, infectious, recovery. The second one is SIS, susceptible, infectious, and again susceptible. The third one is susceptible. E is for expose, I is for infectious, R is for recovery. The first one is SIR, susceptible, infectious, recovered. The second one is susceptible, infectious, susceptible. The third one is susceptible, exposed, infectious, and recovered one. So these are the different type of epidemic models. And we try to understand that what we are writing here, what is SIR, what is SIS. So mathematically, I try to explore you. I just take an example of a computer network where there are where there are 50, 60, 100, 200 number of systems available in the whole network. As I told you, all of them are attached to each other. Communication is proper. Every system is communicating with each other. And all of them are communicating to the main server and mains vice versa also. So this is the complete computer network where firewall is there, where all secure defense mechanism is there, and also antivirus software is being installed in each and every system. Now, for example, in any of the computer, as I assume that all of them are susceptible towards the attack. All of them are susceptible means whenever certain malicious objects, just like viruses, worms, trojans are there, they try to enter into the computer network. And suppose that any of the computer gets infected. Maybe the patches are not new, or the antivirus software is not updated. They sneak the firewall, they sneak the defense mechanism, and any of the operator or any of the user, they have used any malicious link, and the virus attack is there or worm attack is there. It becomes infected into the nature. This I is infected. So what this I will do, because all of them are transmitting the information from one system to the another, main server is also communicating with them. So this infected computer, the first of all, it will try to enter into the main hardware system. It will go to the command or the executable file, and they will try to occupy the memory, or in fact, as per the attacking behavior, they may transmit the information from one system to the another system. They may transmit it into the via media, and the other system which is susceptible towards the attack, the infected computer, when it transmits the information or the link, then as soon as that particular computer uses that secondary devices, uses that malicious link, uses that malicious information, they again become infectious in nature. So if there are 1,000 number of systems, as I can imagine, then maybe a proportion of the susceptible computer become infected. Maybe out of 1,000, 100 become infected, or 50 become infected, or 10 may become infected. A proportion of them may become infected. Then what we can do? We can run antivirus software, or we can use the updated antivirus software to all of them. Maybe all of the system gets recovered if the updated version is available, or if the patches are strong enough to remove these type of malicious codes, then all of them may recover. If it is not so, then a proportion, suppose that out of 100 infected, 50 may get recovered, or maybe 60 get recovered, 50 is still there, or any of them may not get recovered. Any situation can happen. So a proportion of the infected modes get recovered. And then computer also dies. I've given this concept because the first paper what appeared was in 2005. It was the very first paper available across the globe. That was mathematical models on computer virus in the year 2006, sorry. And when I was at BITS Pilani, we had written this paper. And in this particular paper, we had given the concept of malicious object, generally people say malware, and also about the concept of the death of a computer. That was well published in 2006, mathematical models on computer viruses. So in 2000, what I said, death is of two types. One is a natural death, another is death due to disease. Natural death is that just like human, people can die naturally without suffering from any disease. Or secondly, that a person may die due to disease. So a system may crash due to some technical failure, maybe due to some software failure, maybe due to some hardware failure, maybe due to some power supply failure or something like that. It is said to be a natural death. But when a system crashes due to the attack of these malicious objects, then we say that it is a death due to disease. So that is what is happening. Sorry. So it is a death due to disease. So death due to disease plays an important parameter. So SIR is there, susceptible, infected, and recovered. So I come to, please come to the next slide, where we'll try to understand the scenario in a very typical way. Please click it once. Yeah. So, no, please stop, yes. Susceptible. I'm taking a model, SIRS model, susceptible, infectious, recovery, susceptible. Meaning in cyber world, no system is permanently recovered. As soon as antivirus software is run and your system becomes immune, it is said to be a temporary immune, not permanently immune from the system. Because as soon as you start surfing the net or using the secondary devices, you are again susceptible towards the attack. That is one scenario. Therefore, in cyber world, we cannot say that our system is permanently recovered from any type of attack of the malware. No, it is not like that. Temporarily, we get recovered. So therefore, I've used the word SIRS. It's susceptible, it becomes infected, then recovered, and again susceptible. So I do assume here a susceptible class. Susceptible means a large number of computers in a computer network that is susceptible in nature. All of them are susceptible towards the attack of malware, that is viruses, worms, and trojans. Then what happens? Please click it. Then again click it. Then it becomes infectious. What happens? Any infected computer in the network makes a proportion of the susceptible computer infectious. There are two words in medical dictionary. One is infected, another is infectious. Infected means, infectious means the particular computer which is being infected by a virus, worms, or any malicious malware. They can transmit this infection to the another system. Then only it is said to be infectious. When I say infected, that means the disease has come to that particular, the infection has come to that particular machine, but it is not capable enough to transmit the disease. So therefore the word infectious has come into picture. That means the viruses, the malware has attacked the system, and now the system, the group of the system out of 1,000, maybe 100, maybe 50 number of computers are being attacked by the malware, and it is infectious in nature. With some rate, and that rate is, click it, with some rate, please click it. Yeah, that is with some rate beta. If you see from S to I, it is some beta. Beta is the infectious infectivity contact rate. That is, there is a contact. Suppose that a person is suffering from COVID-19, and if he is in contact with a group of individuals or of a particular individual, transmitted from that person X to the susceptible person Y. Infected is here, infected individual suffering from COVID-19. He in fact transmits the disease to a group of individuals, to the susceptible group with a contact rate beta. And then this infectious population gets recovered after running with some software, after running this infectious gets recovered, and this recovery is there. And then after it gets recovered, as I told you, it again becomes susceptible. All of the system does not get infected or recovered. Only a proportion of them get infected. Or if possible, if the latest updated software is available, which can treat all the malware, which can take into account the all type of the bugs, then all the system may get recovered. But we do assume that a proportion of them gets recovered. And then this recovered again becomes susceptible, as I told you, with because it's not permanently immune. As soon as you start surfing your net, as soon as you start using your secondary devices, again you are susceptible towards the attack. Next. Next. So, yeah, please. No, back. Yeah. So you see, there is an arrow with all SIR, down arrow. These are all written as D. If you see D is there, susceptible is dying with a rate D, infectious is dying at a rate D, recovered is also dying at a rate D. And infectious to recovered, if you see there is some, maybe while transmitting this slide, the proportion of the infectious computer which gets recovered is recovered at a rate alpha. Wrongly, it is shown in the arrow from R to S. Alpha is from I to R. It may be due to some problem. From I to R, the recovery rate is alpha. From I to R, the recovery rate is alpha. And the proportion of the recovered, all the recovered node again becomes susceptible at a rate gamma. This gamma is there just below the susceptible class, gamma is there. So what this model is, a very simple model. A susceptible node is there, a group of susceptible computers are there. These susceptible computers get infected by any infected computer, which transmits the disease to the susceptible computer at some rate beta. At some rate beta. Oh, 1 minute. Excuse me, 1 minute, 1 minute. I just there's some alarm related to my system. I just yeah. I don't know what this is. Yeah, it is not charging. It was out of charge. I'm sorry. I didn't put my laptop in charging mode. Right. So, yeah, it is not charging. So, a group of susceptible computers get infected by any infected computer with a contact rate beta, and the group of infected computer, after running anti-malicious software, it gets recovered. And as there is no permanent immunity, because we try to surf the net, we try to use the secondary car, again it becomes susceptible. And here we take only the natural death. A very simple model I have taken only to explain that how mathematics comes into picture. Next slide, please. So whatever is going out from S to I, any group, it is minus. So this will be a system of differential equations. The students of engineering, they might have studied differential equation. And see, mathematics is very simple and very, you can see the use of mathematics in the real world. Use of differential equations in this very sensitive zone of cybercrime or cyber attack. So ds by dt means rate of susceptibility. At what rate the susceptible population changes, because there is a transmission of disease or transmission of the nodes from one environment to the another environment. Means susceptible becoming infectious, infectious becoming recover. So there's a transformation which is going on. It is a dynamical system. It is not a static system. There's a dynamical system in which transformation takes place. So susceptibility. So you see here it is minus beta SI. Minus represents because going out, the population which is going out from the susceptible population. If 1,000 number of systems are there, then out of 1,000, how many of them gets infectious? Maybe 100. So this minus beta SI is 100. 100 population going out is minus. So minus is there, and beta as was what? Contact rate. From S to I, the contact rate was beta. Therefore, this beta has come into picture. How beta SI has come into picture, I will show you after this particular slide. And minus DS, D was the death, natural death from the susceptible. So this much of the computer crashes due to the hardware failure, maybe software failure, maybe power failure, or whatsoever it is. So this much of the system crashes down. And plus gamma R. You see, gamma, I told you that this much of the recovered computer again becomes susceptible. Means a group of the recovered computer, after running the anti-malicious software antivirus software, they again become susceptible. And the rate of transfer from the recovered population to the susceptible population is gamma. So this much plus is there because this much of the population is entering into the susceptible population. Therefore, plus gamma R. This much of the computer is now susceptible. Minus beta Si, this much of the computer leaving the susceptible class and going to the infectious class. Minus DS, this crashes. That means it is nowhere in the population. It is not the death. And gamma R is this much of the population is coming to the susceptible population, which is recovered. So plus indicates coming in the compartment, minus indicate going out the compartment. So this is what represent rate of susceptibility. ds by dt, rate of susceptibility. S is a function of time t. It is not constant. S here is a function of time t, ds by dt. At what time the susceptible, what is the rate of susceptible population at any time t? Therefore, it's a dynamic system. Next, di by dt, rate of infectious class. What population? Because we are always interested at what rate the infection spreads. And this is the biggest challenge in pandemic. You might be hearing in your television, doubling rate, tripling rate, or in India, the doubling rate is 7 days. In country like US or Italy, the doubling rate is 11 days, 18 days. So the doubling rate, that means at what rate the infection doubles itself. So this rate is very important in the real world as far as the disease is concerned. So antivirus software organization, what it needs, it had developed a computer software, antivirus software. Now it wants that a particular virus which has attacked the particular network, then it tries to understand that at what rate the infection spreads, at what time, in how many hours, in how many days the number of computers get infected, number one. Secondly, it also tries to understand that what is the death rate, how many computers are dying due to that particular infection. So when we try to develop a vaccine, these days vaccination is vaccine development is going on for COVID. So they try to understand the infectivity contact rate, that what the first beta they try to understand. Second, they try to understand that at what rate the infection dies out. Secondly, the third is that at what rate the infection spreads and how many people or how many computers die out. So rate of infection, di by dt is rate of infection at any time t. I is the function of time t, it is not constant. That is beta Si. If you see the upper equation, it is minus beta Si. This much is going from susceptible population and we're entering into the infectious component, that is beta Si. This population is coming in the infection class. And also if you see minus alpha I means this much of the computer is going to be recovered. That is from infection class, it is going out to the recover class. Alpha is the rate of recovery, that this much of the computer gets recovered from the infection to the recovered class. And minus di, this much dies naturally due to death other than due to disease, not due to disease. So the classes, the particular population leaving out is minus and the plus one is only beta Si. This is entering this class. So di by dt gives you the rate of infectivity. At what rate the infection spreads in the population. That is what in any epidemic, in pandemic also, we are always trying to search that at what rate the infection is spreading in a specific community, in country like US, in Italy, or in Europe, in US, or in country like India, or in India, which state the infection is spread like anything. What is the rate of infection? What is the rate of infectivity going on that population? So this di by dt plays a very important part. Then the next equation is what is the rate of recovery? dr by dt. Next, dr by dt, rate of recovery. If antivirus software is run, then at what rate the number of systems which are being infected by that particular virus gets recovered. So this is what alpha I, if you see the above equation of di by dt, it is minus computer which after running the antivirus software is being recovered. They come out from the infection class, minus alpha I. and goes to the recovered class, that is plus alpha minus gamma r. If you see the very first equation, ds by dt, the ds by dt, if you see, it is the last is gamma r. ds by dt, it is gamma r plus gamma, that this much is coming. The susceptible population is the recovered, it is coming from at rate gamma, the recovery population again becomes susceptible. Therefore, ds by dt is plus gamma because it is coming in the susceptible class. In dr by dt, it is minus gamma because it is going out to the susceptible. And dr by minus dr is the death due to reason other than that of attack. So dr by dt. So see, the application of differential equations. People generally, the engineers, they read the differential equation, they solve the differential equation, but they don't know that where it is going to be applied. And you see the simple equation, very simple mathematics, giving a wide range of the application of the cyber world, a wide range in the cyber crime. And also in pandemic, this type of equation is widely, and it is being used also, that how we are going to do all these things. A very simple mathematics dealing with a very complex dynamical system. So this is the real usage of differential equation or mathematics in the field of infections, maybe in humans, maybe in computer. Next. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Yeah, please. Now I just please back. Yeah, I have just improved it. I will give you one more flavor, and then I will conclude my lecture. SEIRS model, that is the susceptible, E is exposed, I infectious, R recovered, S is susceptible. The previous was SIRS model. Now I've taken into account E picture here. E is exposed. What is exposed? We try to understand. Exposed is what? That the behavior of the disease is visible. Visible in the sense that it seems that the disease has come into picture. See, when you are speaking about COVID-19, then they say the symptoms may be like this. The temperature may be high. You may have dry cough. You may have sneezing. If these come, you may have chest pain, or there are other reasons. If these all collectively is there, then there's a possibility that you may have this disease. But this is what? This does not indicate that the disease is there. But this is a behavior indicating us that the disease might have come to us. Similarly, in computers, how we can understand that there is a malware attack into our system. So what behaviors are there? When you on your system, the system may not start in usual time. It may take delay in booting it, number one. Secondly, that it may hang. Third is that cascading may be there. Fourth, that if you open a file, some other file may open. And it is also here given that these are some behavior which shows that the possibility of the virus attack may be in our system. So how we try to understand this behavior? We try to get into that picture of a CIR. Exposed is that class. All the behavior, all the symptom of the disease is there. Therefore, I've introduced into SEIRS. So the whole population of the network is susceptible. The whole population is susceptible. As I told you, in the network, if there are 50 or 100 computers or 1,000 of computers, then all of them may become susceptible to attack. Then next, please click. Then it becomes exposed. Exposed means now, since as I told you, all the computers are communicating with each other, the possible transmission is there from one system to the other system, so it becomes exposed in nature. If there is any attack, it shows the behavior. It shows the behavior of the attack, and this behavior, in fact, will be just like what I told you, that the system may hang, The system may have cascading. The system, if you want to open file X, file Y might open, booting will be delayed. So these all are the characteristic of exposed. So this does not mean that the disease has come, but the symptom is there. A proportion of the population is showing this system, and maybe out of this population, some of them get infected. So after 1,000 computers, if 100 computers are showing this symptom, that does not mean that 100 of them are attacked, but a proportion of them gets attacked. Out of exposed, next. Yeah, please. Then out of exposed, it becomes infectious. Infectious means that out of 1,000 computers, 100 of them are showing the symptoms. Not necessarily that all 100 get attacked, but out of 100, maybe 50 get attacked by the viruses. A group, a proportion of the computers will become infectious in nature. Next, please. Next, clicking. Yeah. So infectious become again recovered after the run of antivirus software. A proportion of them or all of them get recovered, or a proportion of this. Out of 1,000, I told that 100 shows the symptom. Out of 100, 50 get infected. Out of 50, all of the 50 might get recovered, or maybe 40, 30, 20, 10, or even 0. Possibilities there if the attack is so severe. And as I told you, there is no permanent immunity. All of them which gets recovered. Again, as we start surfing using secondary devices, it can become susceptible in nature. Please click it. It again becomes susceptible. And please click all. Yeah. So this is back slide. Yeah. So beta is the infectivity contact rate from susceptible to exposed, because this is the contact rate to the disease can transmit. You see in the middle, it is D, that is the natural death of all susceptible, exposed, infectious, recovered. All of the system, because whether it is machine or it is human, they may die naturally. And then exposed to infectious class, exposed, there's a by mistake, delta is misplaced. It is from exposed to infectious. A proportion of the exposed population gets infectious at a rate delta. In a proportion of the infectious population gets recovered after running of the antivirus software. Of 50 computers which were being infected, they get recovered by a rate alpha. And this recovered computer again becomes susceptible. There is no permanent immunity in the cyber world at a rate gamma. And as I told you, the population which is going out from the compartment, this is negative, which is coming out in the population will be positive. If an example from here only, if you see the rate of susceptibility ds by dt will be equal to minus beta si. Minus beta means beta is the infectivity contact rate. It comes from susceptible to exposed. The symptom is there. Then minus beta si is there. Minus ds is there going out from susceptible class. Plus gamma r is there. If you see from recovered to susceptible class, gamma rate is there. Therefore, what population is going from recovered to susceptible population? The population is gamma r. So therefore, ds by dt is minus beta si minus ds plus gamma r. Isn't it? Similarly, de by dt, what it will be? It will be beta si. This population is coming in the exposed class. What is dying? Minus d. Minus d is dying out. And also going out to infectious class, how much? Delta rate. So minus delta E. You come to the equation, you see that it will be there. So in the equation, if you see rate of susceptibility, please click the next slide. So ds by dt is minus beta I going to the exposed class, minus ds natural death in the susceptible class, and gamma r, this is the population which after recovery go again back to susceptible class with a rate gamma. So this is the rate of susceptibility. At what rate the susceptible population is there at any time t. Now come to de by dt, rate of exposed class. d by dt is beta si. This is from the susceptible population. It comes to the exposed population minus delta E. This is the rate through which the exposed population goes to the infectious population, and minus d is the natural death of the exposed class. Then comes di by dt. So di by dt will be delta E because this is going to infectious class, minus alpha E, this is going to the recovery class because this much of computer is in fact recovered after running the antivirus software. So therefore this population alpha I goes to the recovered. This much of population which was suffering from any malware attack gets recovered. And DI is the death of the infected computers, not due to disease, but due to the reason other than the attack. And dr by dt is that after running the antivirus software, this much of the population gets recovered at any time r, that is dr by dt. Please click it, dr by dt. Yeah, so dr by dt, if you see, it is alpha I. Alpha I, if you see in di by dt, it was minus alpha I. That means this much of the population gets into the recovered class. So dr by dt, this much of the population is recovered. And this is very important for the antivirus software organization because they are developing this antivirus. They want to know that when they have developed this antivirus, then what much of the population which was being infected by a specific bug, then what population gets recovered? That is alpha I's population gets recovered. And minus gamma R, this is the population which in fact is going out to susceptible class. If you see ds by dt, you will be seeing plus gamma R. It is going again back to susceptible. Minus gamma is going to susceptible. And minus dr is the death of the recovered class. You see, it is a system of first order ordinary differential equation which is non-linear in nature. It is not linear. It is a non-linear first order ordinary differential equation, and this is the wide use of differential equation. So the engineering students, every engineering student studies differential equation. They must try to understand that they are not unnecessarily reading differential equation, but it is playing a pivot role in all the real world. Even if you are drinking, if you're taking a cup of tea, differential equation is there. The blood which is flowing in your vessels, differential equation is there. Whatever you are doing, any dynamical thing, differential equation is there. So this is a wide application. Enough time I have taken. It is almost 1 hour and 40 minutes I have spoken. So however, the slides are more. What I feel that too much of, I don't know that how people have come into this, how they have understood. Thank you so much and giving me this opportunity to speak in this particular area. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure, you know, we are getting your speech in our college. It's a very pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir.
For now.
Thank you, sir, for this gratifying knowledge, sir.
Good evening to everyone.
Renuka madam, over to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Sudipto, sir. I extend my thanks to our spokesperson, Professor Bimal Misra, sir, for his gratifying knowledge that he has actually extended to us, and we are really thankful to you, sir. And it was really in a very comprehensible way you have taken the presentation, sir. And since I lost various times my connection during the webinar, so something I couldn't it was so I actually, am I audible to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, actually I have a very unstable internet connection. That's why I'm asking. Yeah. So I request, as sir has also said about our Professor Bishnubrat Chattopadhyay, that he is his interactive student. So we would also like him to address us. So Bishnu sir, could you please, if you are, if am I
good evening of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible now.
Good evening.
Yes.
Thank you, Vimal sir. Lots of thanks to you. It is a great privilege to all of us to hear your valuable lecture in the topic of time and diffuse. You are just we are learn very important things like how the cyber attackers are clone of our
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ATM cards through ATM machine. When you are going to the donation of government side through online mode, then how hackers are doing such type of activities, how worms are attacking a computer, behavior of virus, how Wi-Fi jacking is there whenever we using the free Wi-Fi in railway station or other places, how hackers are creating their activities through this free mode. You are also tell us regarding the telemedicine, IoT treatment, and through which how cyber attack is creating their activities there also. You very much describes about the epidemiology, principle of epidemiology.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I hope your details describes about his model, epidemic model. That is, we I hope we can comprehend with the Aragya Setu, which is created by Government of India. And you are also very much describes regarding ASIRS model and what is the relation between mathematical model and these cyber attacks or in other virus attack. And also SEIRS model, which is non-linear differential equations model, nothing but it's very useful to all engineering level students. And thank you very much, sir, for your such type of nice lecture. ये हम लोग के लिए बहुत सौभाग्य की बात था कि इस टाइप का लेक्चर हम लोग ऑनलाइन मोड के आज के डेट में जो पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन में हम लोग घर में बैठ के आपका ये बहुत वैल्यूएबल जो स्पीच है ये हम लोग को सुनने के लिए मिला और हम लग नहीं रहा था कि ये बंद हो जाए या आपका लेक्चर खत्म हो जाए। जैसे आपने पूछा एक बार कि सर मुझे कितना टाइम लगा, हमको लग रहा है क्या ये खत्म हो गया, तो लग रहा है कि और कुछ देर हम लोग इसके बारे में सुने। तो आशा करते हैं कि इन फ्यूचर हम लोग नेक्स्ट टाइम वी आर अगेन ऑर्गेनाइज सच टाइप ऑफ वैल्यू लेक्चर फ्रॉम योर साइड। Once again, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vishnu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We definitely look forward for some other lectures of our spokesperson. Now, Principal Ma'am is with us, and in the beginning, she has some problem of poor internet connection, so she couldn't address us in the beginning. So, I would like to request Principal Ma'am to say a few words to our participants. May I please request our Principal Ma'am?
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, ma'am. You are very much audible.
Good evening to everyone. First of all, I would like to pay my heartiest thanks, not only thanks, many, many thanks to our honorable speaker of today's webinar sessions, Dr. Bimal Kumar Mishra, an eminent person in the field of mathematics. And as I know from his surroundings, one of the proud figure of our country also. Thank you, sir. And again, I am for sharing few of your valuable time with us by delivering many informations, many valuable informations from your field of expertizations in this burning topic of cyber attack. And the difference or the speciality of these presentations which I found, especially being and faculty or professors, as well as principal of this college in the field of EC, that it is very, very analytical and also in analogous form. Every step of discussions or the every slides we find is elaborately analytically as well as analogous with some like disease and mathematical field, both are very well coordinated. Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity to our faculty members, our students. And lastly, I would like to put a request, though I know, like you, prominent figure in this field, it becomes sometimes very difficult to share your some of your important time even with the others. Till I would like to put my request to share or to remember Ramgarh Engineering College time to time and give some opportunity to our students to learn many advanced things on mathematical platform, so that they can take the benefit of such an eminent person who is not very far from the Ramgarh Engineering College, because it is also well known for an engineering students and engineering college that mathematics is the tool to make the brain of an engineer king. So without mathematics, no engineer can be fully engineers. That's why again I would like to keep my request that please share time to time some times of you by delivering some valuable speech like this for our college. Next, I would like to pay my heartiest thanks to all the faculty members and students as the participants here for sharing few of their times and learning attentively, and finally to make our program successful and glorious. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your word of wisdom. Am I audible to everyone? Again, I'm asking because
Yes.
I have a very, okay. Thank you, sir. Actually, sir, some of the participants have some questions. So can I means if I get the permission of our guest speaker to put the questions forward?
Yeah, please.
So, yes, sir, Vishnu sir is asking some questions. So
Yes.
you can, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Bimal sir, there are 2 questions from my side.
Right.
सर आपका हम बहुत सारा मॉडल हम स्टडी किए हैं, हम देखे भी हैं, हम पढ़े भी हैं, जिसमें एक प्लॉट फ्लो में आपका एक हम मॉडलिंग हम देखे थे, जिसमें आप जो स्वाइन फ्लू है उसके बारे में आप डिस्क्राइब किए थे. क्या हम आज के जो ये कोरोना वायरस उसके साथ इसको प्लॉट फ्लो को हम माने रिलेटेड कर सकते हैं?
बेसिकली ये कोविड का जो बिहेवियर है वो इनफैक्ट आरएनए बेस्ड है प्लाज्मा प्रोटीन पे, और आरएनए सीक्वेंस को हम लोग स्टडी करके जो सीक्वेंसिंग होती है और प्लाज्मा प्रोटीन में जिस तरीके से उसका बिहेवियर स्टडी होता है, तो ब्लड बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट. तो ब्लड का जो फ्लो है, हम लोग फ्लूइड मैकेनिक्स के इक्वेशंस को उसमें जरूर यूज करके आरएनए को पिक्चर में लाके और उसकी बिहेवियर जो प्लाज्मा प्रोटीन का चेंज हो रहा है ड्यू टू दिस अटैक, वी कैन डेफिनेटली स्टडी, बिकॉज फॉरेन पार्टिकल्स का इमर्सन होता है. फॉरेन पार्टिकल्स आर इमर्स, आरएनए इज अनदर पैरामीटर. तो इंक्लूजन ऑफ द फॉरेन पार्टिकल्स विद deformation in the shape of plasma protein and RNA, we can definitely shape a new type of fluid mechanics model on
not audible.
तो हम
Sir, you're not audible,
Hello?
sir. Yes,
Not
sir.
audible, sir. Not
You're
audible.
not audible. Yes, sir.
not audible. Hello, are you audible?
No, not yet, sir.
Sorry. Please proceed. Please proceed. Please
If
proceed.
anybody else has some question, they can come up with their question. Vishal Kumar has raised his hand. If you want to ask question, then sir, please you can go ahead with your question. Anybody else among participants, if you have some question, sir is here to answer your questions.
सर क्या साइबर क्रिमिनल में अभी भी रैंसमवेयर वायरस का यूज किया जा रहा है?
अभी भी यूज हो रहा है. अभी लेटेस्ट एग्जांपल जो यूज हुआ है वो इटली में हुआ है, और
अच्छा.
दूसरा एग्जांपल जो है वो यूज हुआ है वेरी क्लोज टू द कंट्री जो ये काम कर रहे हैं. दैट इज दे आर यूजिंग इट वेरी स्पेसिफिकली यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में इसका बहुत देखा गया है.
सर क्या ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी से इसको ओवरकम किया जा सकता है?
बिल्कुल किया जा सकता है. आवश्यक बेसिकली क्या है कि आपको जो डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म है उसको काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग करना पड़ेगा, और यू हैव टू कंटिन्यूअसली टेक द डिफेंस पैरामीटर इनटू अकाउंट. होता क्या है कि जितने भी अभी जो फॉर एग्जांपल जहां पर रैंसमवेयर का बहुत सारे केसेस प्री कोविड भी हुआ, जैसे कि एग्जांपल आपका यूरोपियन करेंसी को लेकर हुआ था जो बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुआ था 2017 में, फिर अभी 2019 में हुआ. रैंसमवेयर तो बहुत टिपिकल केसेस अभी हो रहे हैं, क्योंकि दो केस अभी एक इटली में आइडेंटिफाई हुआ और दूसरा एक स्पेन में आइडेंटिफाई. So they are looking forward to attack it more. So we have to be very careful that in the coming months, or we can say in coming days, ransomware attack maximum होने जा रहा है. That is prediction.
Yes, sir.
थैंक यू सर.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Any participants who wants to ask question to our sir? No, I think there's no one who is with their question.
Can I audible, madam?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Now you're audible, sir. You can ask your question. You can.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yes,
Sir, please, my one question. Bimal sir, are you hearing?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are aware about the जामताड़ा hackers. हम लोग सब वाकिफ है जामताड़ा हैकर्स के बारे में. तो ये इतना ज्यादा हम लोग इसके बारे में अभी टेक्नोलॉजी इतना ज्यादा ये एडवांस है, फिर भी ये जामताड़ा का है कि क्यों नहीं खत्म हो रहा है?
आपको याद होगा मैंने कहा कि एक स्टेट के रिमोट जोन से ये काम हो रहा है. आई डोंट वांट टू स्पेसिफाई दिस. तो ये घटना जो मैं बताया पेट्रोल पंप का जानता. So the reason behind is Jamtara is a very safe place geographically for cyber criminals. Geographically, not like there are forests and caves. Thing is that the mobility is very high. High in the sense the transmission network there. They are frequently changing the transmission network. Jamtara, you see, is a border area of several states. So they frequently move from one remote zone to the another remote zone in Jamtara only. And what happens? The signal, in fact, they get transferred. Sometimes it gives a reflection that it is in Jharkhand, sometimes in Odisha, sometimes in West Bengal. So this transmission zone, the mobility and the mobility both. So they, in fact, the signal frequently changes. And that makes very difficult to track the hackers. And it is very, very importantly you have raised out. Why it cannot be? Because it is a very, very, I can say, a very hot, critical location for the hackers. Because nowhere till date we can find this type of location where the signals very frequently changes the destination. So very difficult to track it. कि कहाँ से क्या कर रहा है. जामताड़ा इज अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक लोकेशन द कंट्री। और कहीं भी होता क्या है कि कहां पर आपका आके हैकिंग हो सकता है, होता क्या है कि हम जब एक सिग्नल से दूसरे सिग्नल में एंटर करते हैं, जहां पर जो जगह वैलीज का होता है, घाटी में क्रॉस करते हैं, जहां सिग्नल वीक पड़ता है, बहुत कमजोर हो जाता है सिग्नल, तो दो तरह का सिग्नल का डिस्टॉर्शन होता है। एज प्रोफेसर रॉय वाज स्पीकिंग कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के लोग हैं वो ज्यादा इसको अच्छा से बता पाएंगे। सिग्नल का डिस्टॉर्शन एक बार होता है कि ड्यू टू नेचुरल डिजास्टर होता है कि कहीं क्लाउडिंग हो गया या उस तरीके का नेचुरल कुछ होता है, तो वहां पर सिग्नल का डिस्टॉर्शन होता है। दूसरा क्या होता है कि दिस क्रिमिनल्स व्हाट दे डू, हैकर्स, कि जब आप एक लोकेशन को छोड़ के दूसरे लोकेशन में जाते हैं तो उसकी सिग्नल की फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज करती है, तो वहां पर सिग्नल अप्स एंड डाउन्स रहता है, कहीं आवाज आती है, कटती है, तो वो सिग्नल जब अप्स एंड डाउन्स में रहता है, वहां पर वो जो वर्म्स हैं उसको ट्रांसमिट करते हैं, और वो वर्म्स क्या करता है, आपके इंफॉर्मेशन को तुरंत वो ट्रांसमिट कर देता है। तो दिस इज वेरी स्पेसिफिक लोकेशन वेयर द सिग्नल्स जहां भी डिस्टॉर्ट हो रहा है, मे बी ड्यू टू द, आई एम नॉट स्पीकिंग अबाउट द नेचुरल डिजास्टर ऑफ द distortion of the signals, but I am speaking in the sense where the criminals take this advantage of the changing of the signals from one tower to the another, from one mobility to the other mobility. उस frequency का फायदा उठाते हैं, weak और high signal का, और वहीं पर अपनी worms को ट्रांसमिट करके उसको सिग्नल, वो पूरी इंफॉर्मेशन को हैक कर लेते हैं। एंड जामताड़ा लोकेशन क्रैकर्स इसलिए हैकर्स के लिए सेफ प्लेस है क्योंकि वहां पर बहुत सारे अलग अलग जगह के फ्रीक्वेंसी रेंजेस अवेलेबल है, जो बहुत कम जगह कंट्री में है। दैट इज वेयर इट इज सेड टू बी अ हेवन प्लेस एंड वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू ट्रेस आउट। आई एम नॉट एबल टू हियर डॉक्टर साहब। हेलो हेलो
मैम,
हाँ, आपकी आवाज नहीं सुन पा रहा हूँ डॉक्टर साहब।
Renuka ma'am,
Renuka
are you
ma'am.
there? I think Renuka ma'am internet may not be working.
Okay.
Now no one is raising the hand, so it's a very pleasure, I can say, and another question is there, sir. Sorry, sir. Yeah,
good evening,
Mr.
sir.
Dev. Yeah, Mr. Dev.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir,
Good
could you explain that, sir, जो ransomware है, sir, ये Linux distribution को penetrate कर सकता है, sir, या नहीं कर सकता है, sir? जैसे Ubuntu या Kali Linux को penetrate कर सकता है कि नहीं, sir?
Linux ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम का डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म अदर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम से स्ट्रांग है, लेकिन इसको डिनाई नहीं किया जा सकता है कि वहां पर किसी तरह का मॉलवेयर अटैक नहीं होगा। सी देयर इज यूजिंग द वर्ड कि इम्पॉसिबल है, इट इज नॉट करेक्ट एज फार एज द साइबर अटैक्स आर कंसर्न्ड। सो लिनक्स इज अ सेफ प्लेटफॉर्म, और जहां पर as respect to the Windows operating system. So the attack what we have observed during these 10 years, so Linux operating system में attacks की संख्या बहुत कम है, defense mechanism काफी strong है. So but we cannot
Thank you, sir.
But we cannot say कि it is 100% safe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Renuka madam, are you there? I maybe lost their signal, and so I conclude at the last, at the end. It's a very pleasure, very we are very grateful that persons like you, sir, we are getting you, and whatever the knowledge we are getting, it is a very much helpful. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot. Please give me, give us this kind of opportunity once again and once again. So we'll be, we'll be get ready for the future, because readiness is very much requirement. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Good night, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And thanks a lot to Ramgarh Engineering College for giving me this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.